Hey guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And let me explain to you really quick. First of all, for starters, it's free. Yes, I said it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And I know most of you guys have a phone or computer, so it's so easy. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So make sure you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the I'm Good podcast. I'm your host Shri, and if you are new here, what's good? What's popping? For all of my I'm Good fam, for all of my I'm Good listeners, my returning listeners, what's popping? Thank you once again for tuning in to the I'm Good podcast. And for my new listeners, I hope you guys stay for a while. Make sure you listen to this full episode and be sure to check out all of my previous episodes as well. So yes, y'all, I just want to, as always, express gratitude. I want to thank every single person who has tuned in to the I'm Good podcast, who have shared it, who have just been listening to each episode since day one. Like, y'all guys, listen, I love it. So thank you to everyone who has tuned into the podcast. Listen, we rocking. Things are about to, there's a shift in the atmosphere. So things are shifting. A lot of great things will be coming up or happening, I will say. And I'm just excited. Abundance is coming. I'm just so excited for where this podcast, will be going. It has already gone. This podcast actually has already gone way past what I actually thought. Not, like I said it before, not so much of what I thought, but I knew, I know that, I'm destined to greatness. That's not even me being cocky or anything like that, but that's just me knowing my purpose and just knowing, what God has for me. So, and like I said, and I feel like we all are destined to greatness, but we have to figure out what our greatness is. So yes, y'all, I want to say, thank you as always for just tuning in and checking out the I'm Good podcast. And like I said, in previous episodes, I hope, this information is helpful. I hope you gain something from it. I know for myself, when I listen to self-development podcasts, whether it be about, self-confidence, just overall self-development, business, whatever it may be, or nutrition, I know I always try to make sure that I take away something from a podcast that I listen to, or if it's a book, whatever, I try to make sure that I take something away from it. So hopefully you guys, are able to take away a lot of this information and apply it into your life right now, or if you applied it in the past, or maybe you might apply it in the future. But listen, y'all, like I said, I'm here for you guys. Literally, I'm here for you guys. And these topics that I talk about, especially for my new listeners, I talk about these topics because they mean something to me. So me talking about, health, nutrition, wellness, mental health, all of that stuff. I talk about it because these are all things that I have experienced, and these are things that I'm doing right now to get me on an even greater path. I'm already on a great path, but to go on an even greater path. So yes, y'all. So yes, thank you. Also too, this podcast is sponsored by www.allthingshri.com. Make sure you go ahead and check out my online store. Once again, that is www.allthingshri.com, and use the special podcast promo code I'm Good Fam at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. Once again, use promo code in capital letters I'm Good Fam to get 10% off your entire order. And thank you to everyone who has already checked out allthingshri.com and have already purchased from the site. Thank you guys so much for supporting the brand. But if you haven't done so, you can still check out the website and get your All Things Shri apparel. Once again, that website is www.allthingshri.com, and the apparel is meant. The apparel really honestly is, the brand is geared towards the confident, boss-minded, and faith-driven. So make sure you guys go ahead and use promo code, once again, I'm Good Fam, to get 10% off your entire order. As always, like I say, if you are listening to this podcast on an Apple device, whatever it may be, Apple device, so iPhone, iPad, MacBook, whatever it may be, make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review. It only takes literally, I mean, depending on how long the review is, it might be long. But to rate it with the stars, it takes literally seconds. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that if you are listening to this on an Apple device. And if you're not, and you're listening to this on another platform, whatever it may be, and I know there's tons and tons of podcast platforms, and I know my podcast is pretty much on most podcast platforms, pretty much, I want to say. So whatever the platform that you are using, make sure you go ahead and leave a review. It's greatly appreciated. That's also with my listeners leaving a review is also another way of them expressing their gratitude or thanks, or whatever, for the podcast. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that. And it also helps, like I said, especially with Apple Music, it helps the podcast to grow even more. And it also helps other people to just, walk into a greater path into their life. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that if you haven't done so. And then also, too, thank you so much for everyone who has checked out our midweek roll call. Listen, like I said, I couldn't, honestly, the midweek roll call literally came to me one day, as an idea, maybe I should, what if I had, a weekly segment with affirmations? And y'all guys love it. So I'm, at first I was thinking about maybe I should just do, a bonus episode. So my very, very, very first midweek roll call, I think I had named it a bonus episode. And I was like, let's just do a bonus episode. But you guys love it. So I have continued to do my midweek roll calls, and those are released every single Wednesday. Every single Wednesday. And there's a purpose for every single Wednesday, because it's to get you over the hump of the week. For a lot of people, Wednesday is that hump, especially if you're working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, whatever type of job. Wednesday is usually that hump. So I wanted to make sure that I release affirmations and speak positivity over your life to help you get through your week. So yes, y'all. So I'm excited about today's podcast episode. This might sound crazy, but I really enjoyed last week's podcast episode. I know it sounds so crazy for me to say that, but I did. And for you guys that might not know, I do listen to my podcast episodes, which is kind of crazy because I'd be like, wait, what? And it's so funny. When I listen to my podcast episodes, I really be into it, forgetting that it's actually me. So, I do that one because, like I said, I'm constantly learning. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to learn to get on the path to do what's best for me. No, I will never be perfect. No one's perfect. So, and if you think someone's perfect, they're really unperfect. So no one's perfect. Don't be hard on yourself. I'm not perfect. No one will ever be perfect, but you can do things to align yourself to make sure that you're on the right path. So I do take a listen to these podcast episodes, and I really enjoyed last week's episode, partly because I still so much love the battle between the Locks and, Dipset, and it wasn't really so much about the battle, but it was just talking about things that I learned. But listen, yeah. So I listened to that episode right after I released it, and I was like, ooh, I want to listen. And I'm like, oh my God, look at me just listen to my own episodes. But if you haven't done so, make sure you check out the previous episode. And if you check out the previous episodes, there's tons more after that. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out all of our episodes. There's tons and tons of podcast episodes that I've recorded. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that. So on today's podcast episode, I want to talk about, something that I feel like a lot of people find interest in. And I feel like it's something that I love just to continue to talk about because I think it is important. And that's self-confidence. That self-confidence is something that I'm currently working on myself. I basically, there's a lot of different things that I do. There's YouTube videos on how to be more confident. There's books out there. Whatever it takes for you to build that confidence, I will say, go with that resource. If it's a book, if it's a podcast, whatever it may be. But I think this topic is so important. I know I did a previous episode on confidence, and I always kind of talk about confidence because I think it is important. But I know a lot of my listeners, enjoyed the self-confidence episodes and self-development. So I wanted to talk about today, what does confidence look like? And, obviously, for me, these are just some thoughts that came to my head that I think would be beneficial for you guys. So, confidence may not look like all these things, or to you, confidence may not look like none of these things. But these are just some things that, kind of came into mind in regards to what does confidence look like? And I'm not talking about, being cocky. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being confident. And for me, like I said, even taking it back to last week, some of like the greatest people, the greatest entertainers, the greatest ball players or whatever it may be, they have a certain confidence about them. Like when you look at LeBron, he's not perfect, but there's a certain confidence in him. When I watched that battle last week with Jadakiss in the I would say Jadakiss in the Locks, Lord, Jadakiss in the Locks, the Locks, and Dipset, Jada had a certain confidence about him. Like you could see in his eyes. Cameron's confident. I mean, listen, that's why I love Cameron so much, is because Cameron is a confident person. But I really want to talk about, what does confident look like? And I'm not talking about being cocky. No, that's not confident. Being cocky is arrogant. And no, I'm not talking about being cocky, but I'm talking about being confident within yourself and knowing that you are worthy. So that's confidence. So the first one that I want to talk about is in regards to what does confidence look like. Basically, confidence looks like you working on your internal self. So what is something that you can do for yourself internally? I think a lot of times we think confidence means, you got to have a name brand purse, name brand pants, whatever it may be. I'm making up stuff, I'm making up stuff, whatever it may be. It could be like, I got to have a Louis bag, or I got to have 10 chains on me. That's not confidence. That really isn't. And one thing that I'm learning, because I listened to a sermon with Torrey Roberts. He's the pastor of One LA Church. I listened to his sermon on podcast. It's on podcast and YouTube. But that's not confidence. That's external stuff. Because if someone took away your chains and all of, your name brand stuff that you own, like, will you still be that same person? And so that's something that I've been trying to really tell myself like lately, is that, confidence isn't so much external. I think a lot of times we think that, like, and it's okay, because like when you put on a good outfit and you look good and you get your, like for my ladies, you get your lashes done, your nails, whatever it may be, there is a certain confidence that you do gain once you have those external things. But the real confidence really is internal. It's not so much external. External is just the added stuff, but internal confidence is the most important thing. And that's why I said, that's the number one thing on my list in regards to what does confidence look like. People honestly know when your confidence is fake and when it's real. Like you can really see it. You can see when someone's confidence is only high when they have certain things. But you can also see someone who may have less or may not feel the need to be as flashy and they're still confident. Like I've been around confident people. I've seen confident people. Some of my most favorite stars or people that I look up to are confident. And, I had to tell myself this, and I still tell myself this: focus on the internal. Stop focusing so much on external. The external is fine. The external should complement your internal. Let me say that again. The external should complement your will complement your internal. So once you focus on you within yourself, your confidence is just going to pour out into the external. So I think, like I said, we live in a society where we think confidence is more, external, especially, with social media, when it comes to like maybe posting a photo, like, oh, how many likes can I get? Oh, well, today I got, 100 likes. Oh, I'm very confident. Oh, I post another pic, only got 5 likes. I'm not confident. And that has happened to me. It's frustration. And that's why sometimes I have to take a step back from social media, because you kind of get into this thing where you seek validation from other people or from external things. But confidence really is within yourself. If you post a bomb pic and you like it and you don't get no likes on Instagram, you should be fine with it. But I will say the nature of the game of Instagram and most social media platforms, if no one engages with it, then, obviously you start thinking something is wrong or blah, blah, blah. So the first one on my list in regards to what does confidence look like, it looks like you're working on your internal. The second one is you're living a purpose-driven life. Like, what does that mean? Purpose-driven just means you're walking into your purpose. Sometimes I just say, like, basically for me, it's a learning experience. Every day I feel like, every day I'm learning something about myself. Like, I'm not perfect or anything like that. But every day, I am learning something about myself in regards to walking into my purpose. And for someone, you may be listening saying, well, how do I know what my purpose is? a lot of times there will be like a little voice in your head that, will tell you something. Like, I'm not saying like, nothing crazy, but like a lot of times, like for me, let me put it like this. I know I'm aligned on the right track when I'm doing something, and like I feel like my soul is on fire. Like I feel good. Like when you're doing something that is good, it could be drawing, it could be anything, and you just actually feel good and at ease. A lot of times that's you kind of walking into alignment with your purpose. And, some people may take years for them to find a purpose. Some people might find a purpose at 9. It really does vary. But for me, every day I feel like I'm learning more and more about myself in ways I can expand upon my purpose. So just because you may have a purpose, you don't have to stick to that one thing. You can always expand upon it. So the second thing on my list in regards to what does confidence look like, it looks like you're living a purpose-driven life. You're doing things that are aligning to what you feel that you were created for. And like I said, a lot of times you're on the right track when you're feeling good. When you're doing something and it doesn't feel like you're doing it, that's how you kind of have that. Like it's a really hard feeling to explain. And I know I had explained it. I had explained it on the previous podcast. I know I had it was crazy. I remember one night I explained on a previous podcast where I was, I don't know if it was Cyber Monday, whatever it was, but I was working on my online store and I couldn't sleep, but it wasn't that sleep where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't sleep. Like I'm so annoyed. Like I need to go sleep. No, it was a sleep where I didn't want to go to sleep. Like I was just so excited about my store. I just was so excited. Like it's crazy. Like, and it was a feeling I feel like I never really had. And that's how I knew that I was walking into my purpose. And now, will I say that opening an online store is my purpose? I don't know. But I will say when you find your purpose, it doesn't always have to be one thing. So if you feel like your purpose is to play basketball, there's so much different things that you can do. And I feel like there are several aspects of our lives where I feel like we can touch base on in regards to us, reaching our purpose. So that's the second one on my list today to live a purpose-driven life is another way, to feel and look more confident. The next one on my list is, creating a routine, something that I am continuing to try to work on. And I don't want to say try because Eric Thomas said that. He's a motivational speaker. He said, what does try mean? You don't try. Trying means that, no. So I'm going to take that out of my vocabulary. But, creating a routine is something that I am doing. And creating a routine is so important. I feel like for me, when I don't have a routine, I don't feel confident. I actually lack confidence because when you don't have a routine, you're all over the place. You don't have a system. You don't know what you're doing next. You just kind of just wing it. And I know a lot of us do it because I know I do it a lot, but winging it does not cut it. Winging it does not cut it. And a lot of times, for many, many years, I tried to wing it. Even still, sometimes to this day, I try to wing it. But now I can't even talk. Now I understand, the importance of creating a routine. Some of the most wealthiest people out there, they talk about how they have a routine, a morning routine, an afternoon routine, an evening routine. It's so important to create a routine. The next one on my list is, another way, for you to look confident and be confident is to live a healthy life. And, honestly, health, there's so many different aspects of health. But for, this portion, I'm talking about, more so, making sure that you eat right. Like I said, no one's perfect. I'm not even perfect. There's days where I might eat, I was going to say a cheeseburger, but I don't eat no cheeseburger because first of all, I'm a pescatarian. But I'm going to put it like this. Like, I'm not perfect. So what it was, like maybe about 2 weeks ago, I was craving Popeyes. And I was craving, I think they're fish strips or something like that, whatever. And they ran out. That's besides the point. But I'm not perfect, but I do know the foods that I need to eat to gain better control of my life. And so now that I have, even more recently implemented healthier foods in my life, I now feel better about myself. My mood has boosted, increased into a better mood. I feel more productive. I feel more light, and I feel more confident because I know that I'm doing good for my body. So you want to make sure that you're living a healthy life. In this regards, I'm talking about, eating as well as exercise too. So, creating an exercise routine, whether that's working out 3 times a week, once a week, whatever it may be, but doing something for yourself that makes you feel good. And then also too, as I have stated on my podcast episodes previously, we also know that exercising and eating right, those 2 things can really boost your mood, especially if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, or any other type of mental health issues. And I'll say anxiety. Eating correctly, eating the right foods, for your brain to make you feel good is really, really important, as well as exercise. Let's see. And the 5th one on my list in regards to what does confidence look like is removing negative talk. And to be honest with you, today it was kind of crazy. So today there was like a little photo shoot. My brother had today, not a photo shoot. My brother's getting married, and they had we had a rehearsal today. I won't say dress rehearsal, but pre-rehearsal before the wedding, whatever. And the photographer, it was a lady. She took a pic, whatever, and the photographer took his camera back to take a look at the pic because he was in the wedding, whatever. And I looked at the pic and I was like, look at me, look how I look. And when I got back home today, I'm like, wait a second. That was negative talk. So I will say this, remove negative talk. Try your best. And the thing about what I love about my journey, about just walking into my purpose and just becoming more aligned, is that, like I said, no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. Even though I'm on this podcast telling you guys everything to do, I'm not perfect. But it's so awesome when you start noticing things within yourself, and you start saying, wait, I shouldn't have said that. Or, maybe next time I should figure out a different way. So basically for me, I thought about it and I was like, wait, that's not me. That's not the type of talk that I do. We don't do negative talk. We talk positivity. And, it's good when you can catch yourself. It's better to catch yourself than for you to talk negative about yourself and you never catch yourself. So, I caught myself, talking negative about myself, oh, look how I look. But I'm like, and it was nothing wrong with the pic. It's just that, and it goes back to social media, Instagram and all that. When I take pics, I'm thinking oh, it has to be this angle. You got to see this, blah, blah, blah. My head got to be turned this way. And, the pic was just a normal pic, whatever, with a group of people. But to me, I'm like, oh, it don't look like, how I usually take my pics. But I say all that to say, remove negative talk if you can. Like I said, none of us are perfect. We all kind of find ourselves sometimes, most of us, saying negative things, but try to practice, speaking self-confidence affirmations, speak affirmations of positivity. I have an affirmation wall in my bedroom. Speak affirmations for things that you are dealing with. So even if it's finance, if you feel right now you're at, you're broke, you need a new job, or you waiting for abundance, speak affirmations of abundance, or speak affirmations of, becoming a money magnet. So, but I definitely want to end off with that one. So you want to definitely make sure that you remove negative talk, because once you remove negative talk and you just only focus on positive talk, whatever it may be, your confidence will rise. So by me negatively saying something about myself, I'm like, Shuri, that ain't, you're not making yourself confident. You're actually, diminishing yourself. So I want to say, remove negative talk. Like I said, if that means you got to listen to podcasts on self-development, you got to speak affirmations, whatever it may be, remove negative talk, because negative talk is not going to get you where you need to be in regards to being confident. So hopefully all of those tips that I provided you guys with will help you to understand what confidence looks like. And like I said, there's tons more of different things that you can do to become more confident. Those are just some tips that I want to provide today. But it's time for the quote of the week. And this quote of the week I thought was so awesome. I was listening to a sermon today. Like I said, I mentioned him earlier, Torrey Roberts. He has a podcast. He has a podcast of his sermons, and I was listening to a sermon, and it was called, I think, The War of Identity or something like that. And the quote of the week was external validate. Well, today's quote of the week is, and this is something that Tori Roberts said, was external validation is supposed to be confirmation, not affirmation. Let me read that again. External validation is supposed to be confirmation, not affirmation. Listen, y'all, to me, that was so powerful. And it goes back to what I was saying before, working on your internal, not your external. Like, yes, you may have a bunch of chains, accessories, all that. But if someone compliments you, let that just be like, confirmation that, listen, basically work on your internal. Stop trying to focus so much on external. And, when someone, says something about you, about your external, that you're like, oh yeah, thank you, and then you become confident. No, become confident within yourself. Be truly confident within yourself. So I'm gonna repeat that quote again because I loved it. But it's external validation is supposed to be confirmation, not affirmation. All right, I'm good, fam. You already know what time it is. We are now at the end of this week's show, and I hope this information was helpful, insightful, and everything in between. Do not forget to go ahead and subscribe to the I'm Good podcast. Share this podcast, leave a review, and tell a friend. Thank you guys once again. Shout out to my I'm Good fam. Thank you guys once again for listening, and I will see all of you beautiful people next week. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, this is your girl Sharifa, aka Shree, and welcome to the I'm Good podcast, or in better words, the I Feel Good podcast. If you are new here, welcome to the family. This is a podcast where I explore topics on mental health, physical health, nutrition, and everything in between. So if you're trying to get right and stay right mentally, this is definitely the place you want to be. And wait, before I begin, here's some quick info. Why did I name this podcast I'm Good? Simple. Because as people, from a cultural standpoint, whether we are down or happy, our favorite response to friends, families, or strangers is I'm good, even if we're not. It's completely normal not to feel happy all the time, but in the midst of whatever you go through, the saying I'm good can elaborate to so many different meanings. So yes, this is the place to be, whether you are down, happy, excited, and everything in between. I'm here to dish out knowledge, talk about current topics, and of course, lift you up. So feel free to go ahead and subscribe, share this podcast, leave a review, and tell a friend. Now let's go ahead and get started on today's show.